Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Man, am I excited. We're getting into the summer, and the production across multiple of our games is underway, which is crazy exciting. Today, we're talking specifically about the Garden Geckos campaign. I know a lot of people are pinging me looking for updates. Again, have to hold off on the updates until I've got stuff to actually meaningful things to say, and I've been waiting for these boxes in order to do that. So we're going to open up these boxes, go through them together. But to give you an update, essentially where we're at right now on Garden Geckos is we've placed an order for the plushie. So this order is underway. Production started. The gecko pins, which are here. These are already in production. These actually should be done soon. We're looking at shipping these straight from China to fulfill the campaign. So my belief is that these will arrive in time for Christmas. I have heard there's some issues with the Red Sea, which has caused 4-week delays in the shipping cycle altogether. But if we get our stuff shipped out by the end of the summer, it still should get to everyone in time for Christmas, which is what our goal was. In fact, our goal was actually next year, but we're trying to deliver this early and in time for Christmas. So what we're going to go through today is two things I got. I'm going to go through Bunny Drops. I'm going to go through Garden Gecko's game. Quick reminder, this is the game we're talking about here. This is my pimped out copy, one of the reviewer copies. But we're going to look at the new artwork, and we're going to look at the trays, which I've yet to get my hands on. So let's start with box number one from What's. What's is our manufacturer on this particular game, and I couldn't be happier with them. They're doing a great job. Let's take a boo, shall we? All right. So they sent me some images of a black tray, and their supplier that did the trays had done them incorrectly. So they had to redo them, and they did them in white because I wanted them to match everything that was in the box. And here they are. This is actually the first time I've seen these, so I'm actually super, super excited. All right. So we get this open without damaging anything. Lots of protective. Let's just do it this way. Sometimes carrying is easier. Ooh. Ooh. I like it. All right, so they've got two in here, which is awesome because then I can put it in my game for game night and show people. So here they are. It's the same tray. There's two of them will be in each game. The lids clip on nice and good, nice and secure. That's sometimes a worry I've had with other games where I get the trays. I'm not going to call them out, but I do have one game on my shelf which brings me absolute frustration because you have to put an elastic band around it to hold the lid on. The lid just pops right off in the game and the pieces go everywhere, which is not good. So these look super awesome. To keep the cost down, I did two of the same, so I didn't change the tray up for the two different trays. So here's my kind of 3D printed tray I have for my home copy. Let's put them in and see how they look. So first, we'll put the moths in. There's a way I can do this without pouring it so I get some speed. Nope, that's a bad idea. Worms, crickets, ladybugs. Ah! When I re-upload this, I'll clip it so that we cut to the goods quick. The main thing I want to check is just to make sure that everything fits in the tray and that the tray doesn't kind of bulk up. That was one of my concerns, specifically on the geckos, so we're going to get there in a second. Look at the flies, worms, the ladybugs, or sorry, that's the moths, finally the crickets. I still might make some of these trays available for people to download as well if they prefer those, but these are far superior. So that clips on like so. I like it. It's unsecure enough that it doesn't pop off, but not so much that you can't get them off, because those are annoying as well, the ones you can't get off. Wow, they did a good job on those. What's one of my new favorite manufacturers. I can't lie about this. They are awesome. All right, let's try the geckos. Again, I've got my home tray here. My buddy Devin, shout out to him for our prototypes. He created all these little trays for us to fit into the box with the reviewer samples, so I had something that could kind of easily organize when I was going to game nights, and he did an amazing job, so kudos to him. I'll definitely keep those. I still might use those trays for my home copy because they're kind of cool. You can pull it one color at a time and place it on the table, which is good if you're playing with different people. You pull the trays out, you say, what color do you want to be? And someone just grabs their tray. But these are functional as well. Did I get all the geckos? I think I'm missing one gecko. I can actually show you the 3D printed dispenser too while we're at it. All right. Here we are. No idea if anybody's joined us yet because, quite frankly, the Lula TV app that I'm using is crapped out, and I got no feeds coming in, so I have no idea. Oh well, I was recording afterwards. Okay, so here is the geckos, and that fits on perfect as well. So both of these stack on top of each other. They go in the box on one side. And then on the other side, so if this is the inside lid, to give an example of like kind of the dimension. So they'll fit on one side, tiles, cards go on the other side. If people want to remove the paper insert we're going to have, that can allow them then to store their three-dimensional. If you want to print this, you don't have to. You don't need it for the game, but it is kind of cool because you can fire your tiles out. And the last few game nights I've had, we've been playing with this dispenser and just firing the tiles out to people as they go, which is kind of fun. I'm sure after 2 or 3 plays, I'll just go back to just handing the tiles out, but it's kind of gimmicky and fun. And it costs nothing. If you got a 3D printing file, you get this this file for free, and you can print it out. All right, so those trays look awesome. I'm going to sign off on those. Those are good to go. Next thing we need to sign off on, quite frankly, is the artwork. And if the artwork is good, we are going to production, my friends. There's really nothing else to wait on. From there, we're looking at about 6 weeks. And so we might do an update like... I know people like updates at least like once every 4 weeks. The problem is sometimes you just have nothing to say, and it's like 6 weeks before you're going to have some information. So I might send out an update in 4 weeks just saying, hey, I have no updates. Stay tuned. There'll be some more coming in a couple weeks. But I think the production, if we sign off today, we should have the production by, looking at the calendar here, probably by the end of August. So shipping end of August. Now we're looking at probably 8 weeks minimum. So I'll bring us into shipping end of October into November. So these will arrive just before Christmas. All right. Which again is still 5 months early. I'll throw that out there. All right. Another cool thing about Watts is you don't have to beg them to send you stuff. They just said, oh, by the way, we're sending you a tray, or by the way, we're sending you artwork to take a look at. Make sure you sign off on it. A really good partner to work with. I've been recommending them to more and more colleagues of mine who have been asking, hey, who would you recommend to do production? I always say at least get Watts to quote it, because they're great quality and it's a good team to work with. They're pretty buttoned down, which is awesome. All right, so this is should be the box artwork, but looks like they gave me the artwork for everything. Woo! Okay, let's figure out how we can do this. All right. First and foremost, this is the tile. Sheets, print sheets. So I'm going to do it on camera, but what I will do is I'm going to go through afterwards and just make sure that the bleed, which is the area that goes past where you cut, because you never want to have the artwork go right to where the cut line is, because then there'll always be like a line, right? A white line around where there's no artwork on that piece you're cutting out. So you have to do what's called a bleed, which is push the artwork past where you're going to cut. So when you cut, it always has clean artwork will always go right to the edge of whatever, wherever your cut lines are. I only see one tile that looks a little close. I'll ask them if they're cool with that. But if they're cool, and they've been pretty good so far. I've sent these files back a few times where they're like, hey, can you give me more bleed? on this tile, it's a little close, so they're not shy to push back. In fact, that's one of the things I really appreciate about them is I've sent files, I'm like, okay, these are good to go. And then like 3 versions later after they ask for edits, then we finally really are good to go. Oh, this looks awesome. This is the book. So if you recall, some of you are getting an abstract book and box, and some of you are getting the cartoon box and booklet. It's based on what you chose in your pledge manager. This is the original kind of design that was on the Kickstarter page, but the extra copies we're making, we're going to make more look abstract, and those who want to be part of that run, we're able to opt in to do so. So that's basically what this is. So this is the booklet, which looks super cool. I like it. I was a little concerned about the lines. I'm not sure if you can see on camera, but there's actually like that octagon, that hexagon shape. This kind of like a ghost image on the background of this to just give it some texture. And you can see it, which looks good. It's not too dark, because the worry is if it was too dark, it would kind of interfere with the text, which is not great. So that looks good, but I'm going to read through it all again, just one more time. I can promise you there will still be a typo, even after we go through it again. I've been on projects where we've had 8 people proofread something, and there'll still be a typo. People get copy blind. We're all human. We're not infallible. I don't let it stress me out as much as it used to. At the end of the day, if a letter's off, it's not going to change people's ability to read. So I don't get too, like, I want to make sure I catch them all, but I mean, it is what it is, right? You realize that sometimes things aren't going to go the way you want. So this is the cartoon box. We changed the title plate to be dark on the background versus the light, just because we found it kind of contrasted more. This was based on the survey that you guys filled out. I thought, which was awesome. You guys filled out a survey, got a lot of great feedback from you to tell us what direction we should go. That's what led us to make this particular change. Another thing that's featured on this artwork is we finally got our Tin Robot Games trademark. So before we did TM, which means you're staking claim to the trademark, but it's not registered. Once it finally gets registered, you get a Circle R. That just came through literally like a week and a half ago. So this artwork, we were able to get that inserted and changed. It's not a big deal, but I kind of want to start using it somewhere, so why not on this piece? This looks really great. So this is going to be a linen finish. Obviously, it's not linen finish on this because it's a color proof, but it will be linen finish, and we're gonna have spot UV like on the butterfly, like on the moth, on the title plate. I believe the logo will be spot UV, and I think the gecko might even be spot UV as well. So keep an eye out for that. That looks super cool. Yeah, that looks good. Wow. This art file is pretty robust. Like, all that grass is not a single image. Like, those are all different vector images for those of you that do art. This file takes forever to open, unfortunately. But it allows it to be sharp and look good. So I'm happy with that. What else we got here? This is the inside of the rule book for the cartoon version of the game. Which looks awesome. Very happy with how that turned out. Should I hang on to stuff? I used to hang on to these kind of things, but then you just start having these like large printouts hanging around your house, so I started tossing some of this stuff. But I don't know, sometimes I think, should you like kind of put them in like a frame and make a art piece out of them for on the wall? I don't know. Message me if you think it's something I should keep. I don't know, I like to get your opinion. Oh, that looks awesome. So that's the Garden Gecko box for the abstract. This one here, this tile, this hex pattern in the background is going to be spot UV on a linen finish, which should look really, really cool. Oh, that looks awesome. Very happy with how that turned out. Another tile sheet. And again, when I'm off camera, I'm going to go through and the fine-tooth comb, make sure everything is all tickety-boo, so to speak. Oh, here's something added. So for those who didn't order the Gecko pin, which is a first player, doubles as a first player marker, we did take, because we have blanks available, so I took one of the blanks and turned that into a first player marker hex. So you can pop that out and use as a first player marker in the game for those who didn't want the pin but really appreciate having first player markers. It is in there. All right. This is like Christmas. Just keep the gifts. Just keep coming. It's the back of the abstract box. Looks good. Awesome. Oh. These are cards. So these are the backs of the cards. The Gecko on the top, that's the secret objective. The kind of brownish grayish one there is the terrain objective backs. And then the green one is the bug objective backs. And again, I have no idea if anybody's even watching. You gotta love OBS and Lula and all these apps, that help you stream. These look awesome. Wow. So those are all the cards, the objective cards. Few times I played this game, I got absolutely crushed. So I gotta change up my strategy. I'm getting beat a lot. Which is okay. You can't always win your own game, and then people are like, yeah, sure, you're the guy that created it, so I'm totally cool with losing a game I've created, to tell you the truth. Okay, this is awesome. I haven't seen this yet. This is the Spot UV. So everywhere you see it's gray is where the Spot UV is going to go. So what I did is each of the bugs, they were kind of hidden in amongst the grass and the flowers and so forth, their Spot UV, the moth is flying, the gecko, and the title plate. That's the first time they've sent me a sheet like that. That's actually really cool. That's kind of always the unknown, because it's really tough to reflect that when you're sending art files back and forth on where the Spot UV is. And I've literally had manufacturers in the past where they send me like a digital sample where like I've created like where you have this brown, like I'll do that usually in like a cyan, like a color that doesn't match anything else, and say, okay, this layer, everything is cyan, is the Spot UV. And I've literally had a box come back where they've printed it as cyan instead of us making it like a Spot UV effect, where I was like, whoa, like guys, like that was, even in the file it says do not print this layer. Crazy. Ah! And there, all the gray there is gonna be Spot UV. Ah. That is cool. I'm super excited. This one went, the print on this went really, really fast. And I think that was, well, part and parcel to this new kind of philosophy I take, where I like to create reviewer copies first, send them out to reviewers or content creators. They use that for content, but they're using an actual print production copy of the game, so I'll do a small production run. What that allows us to do is also kind of identify any potential errors, issues, work out the kinks. And then when we do the final production files, sometimes you can reuse stuff. So like the tiles and the cards were not changed between the reviewer copy and the final copy, which allowed us just to say, just use, here's the updated box, but use those other parts of the files, which sped this up quite a bit as well. I don't know if I should even show you this. It's going to be a bit of a surprise, but I'll show it to you. Okay, so as you guys know, we've got the inside of the cartoon box is this guy kind of peeking over and looking down at you with the sun and the clouds. But then I want to do something in the abstract box. If people that know me know I like to print the inside of the box, right? Like it's not that much more difficult. I'm surprised a lot more manufacturers don't do it. I'm starting to see more and more do it. But ever since our second game we launched, it's just something we do. I think it just adds to the aesthetic of the game. So this is the inside of the abstract box. Let's get over here. That looks cool. I love it. I think it looks cool. Message me if you agree. All right, I literally have like a mountain of paper over here to the right of me. Okay. And then lastly, this is the back of the Cartoon Garden Geckos box. Looks super awesome, super great. I'll do have to check the city of origin. This is something by law you have to put in now. Not just that it's manufactured in China, but you actually have to say the city and the date. So I'll make sure that they update the city and that everything matches where it's being produced. So I'll just double check that tonight when I message them. Okay. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Now, next we've got, but wait, there's more. Bunny Drops. So for those of you who weighed in on Bunny Drops and did that as an add-on to the campaign, we're actually producing that with Hopes. So Hopes is the manufacturer on Bunny Drops. They just had the better quote. I'm starting to learn now with each game we produce. I always have like minimum of like 6 manufacturers quote on every game. And what I'm learning is that certain manufacturers are better at certain things. And it's based on what they do internally versus what they broker out, right? So if they're a manufacturer that either makes their own meeples or they have suppliers that are in close proximity to them, like the guy across the street that makes the meeples, then that manufacturer might have the best quote if it's a game that's heavy in meeples. So take Time Splicers, for instance. There's meeples in that, and What's was the ones that had the best. Didn't have the lowest price, but the one that beat them in the price I hadn't worked with before, and I wanted to go with one I trusted and knew versus the one I didn't. So I went with What's on Time Splicers because they had the best price and they're a high quality manufacturer. Hopes is also a high quality manufacturer. They've been used by Inside Up Games on a lot of their games as well. Bunny Drops is entirely cards. So it's all paper, and they're a printer as well. So they were able to smash everyone else's prices, and they had the best price on Bunny Drops. So they got that particular job. So here is their print proof they sent me. You can see the bunny itself is reflective, which is cool. Looks awesome. And then this is like a powdered pink kind of matte finish outside, but you can even feel like where it says Bunny Drops, that's like spot UV as well. The format, the size of the box is the same size we have all of our small box games, so when they sit on a shelf, they all look consistent. That's the main reason why I use this die line. The one thing I want to have is I like doing this when you open the box. When you have this kind of reveal artwork that starts showing, which I think just looks cool. And again, spot UV. All right, so you lift it up. On the inside of the box, we've got bunnies looking down at you. And I don't know if you can see it on this copy, but there was this corner here. The artwork doesn't fully line up, so I've resent the files and we've adjusted that fence a little bit so that everything matches up a little bit better. But that looks, I just love that inside look, right? Like inside lid printing is the way to go. At least for me. The booklet, we added more pages to. So in this booklet, now I think it's like 12 pages. Originally it was like, I think 8. Yeah, now it's 12. What that allows us to do is more kind of diagrams to show like how the actual game works, right? So with your instructions, you can say, you know, flip this card over or move this card here, or here's how you do your scoring, and you can give actual examples. So I'm glad we added more pages. It didn't cost that much more, but it definitely allowed us to, you know, make the visual that much easier for people to understand when they're learning to play the game. The inside, this is definitely changing, and I'll wait to see what the sample looks like. But originally we were going to have like a paper insert, and these are backwards actually. It'd be like this and like this. So the idea is that on one side, because we've got the 5-6 player deck, which you don't need obviously lower player counts, you can keep them to one side of the box, the rest of the cards on the other side, and that so the bottoms of the insert has to be higher on one side than the other because, as you can see, the deck heights are different, right? So we did this paper insert, And this is why I love getting samples sent to me, because it's a good example of how is this going to survive transportation. This did not survive transportation very well at all. Like, this insert just got absolutely beat up. Like, it came looking essentially like this, where it's all crinkly and stuff. So where we landed is we're going to go with a plastic tray instead of a paper tray on this one. It'll hold the cards better. The cards will be in there more snug. It's going to be clear, so that clear tray, you'll still see the artwork below it. So we'll have the same effect of having grass on the bottom of the tray, but with a little fence around it. You can see a little fence there. But we won't have to worry about cards bouncing all over the place, right? So the paper tray was good in principle, but it's not practical. So we're going to do plastic. The cards, I'm not going to crack these open, but these are the final cards printed, which look awesome. And I absolutely love this game. This is, again, Megan Staley. So my niece and I worked on this game, and she was the designer, and I helped the development of it. I couldn't be prouder of her. It's a fun game. It's a great game night filler. Great game for end of night, beginning of the night, or just a casual sitting down and playing a fun little game. If you haven't added this to your order and you want to add it, feel free to DM me, and we'll see if we can add to your order. We are getting more produced than we need because we'll look to sell these afterwards. So it's not too late to add it to your order if you want to add it to your order. It will be too late once we ship. So get back to me sooner rather than later. So that's the update, guys. Oh man, I'm crazy pumped. I could not be happier. This turned out awesome. I'm going to go through all these sheets in greater detail just to make sure I've given one more kind of look over. It's been looked over ad nauseum, but I'm going to give it one more final look. See if we find any errors, and if not, then we're pulling the trigger on production, which will probably be tonight. For the Pledge Manager, if you haven't filled out your Pledge Manager, please do so. I always get surprised, and I'm not sure why. It's tough sometimes to reach people in the Pledge Manager. If I use Cities of Venus as an example, that game funded a year ago, and we're shipping it this fall, and we're sending out like a couple times a week reminders. Please, can you fill out your Pledge Manager? Or people that fill out the Pledge Manager, they fully paid, but they don't put their address in. We have no way to know how to get the game to you because Kickstarter doesn't capture your address. So we actually need you to put your address in the Pledge Manager so we know where to send the game. So please, if you haven't filled it out, fill it out for me. And we just want to get this in your hands before the holiday season so you can enjoy it with your friends and family. Anyways, for now, guys, I appreciate you sticking with me through this. I'm probably going to cut it down because this is actually a long live. And all the best. And thanks again so much for your support. You take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.